The US Open has always been a stage where stories bigger than tennis are written, and on this night in New York, we saw something that felt almost magical. A mixed doubles match that wasn't just about rackets, serves, and volleys, but about heart, resilience, and the unpredictable beauty of sport. Iga Swiatek, the world #1 in women's tennis, teamed up with Norway's Casper Ruud, a player whose quiet determination has earned him respect across the globe. Together they walked onto the Arthur Ashe court, facing a formidable Italian duo, Sarra Erani, a veteran fighter who knows the doubles game better than most, and Andrea Vavasorri, a specialist with sharp instincts at the net. Right from the very first ball, the energy was electric. The crowd leaned in, unsure of what to expect. Swiatek and Ruud aren't known as doubles players, but sometimes that's the beauty of mixed doubles. The surprise partnerships, the chance to see champions in a different light, the chemistry being built shot by shot. The Italians came out firing. Erani, despite her smaller frame, proved yet again why she's a doubles legend. Her returns were fearless, her touch delicate, and her communication with Vavasorri crisp. They broke Ruud's serve early, and for a moment, it looked like the favorites might be overwhelmed. The crowd could sense the tension. Swiatek clenched her fist, urging herself to step up, while Ruud muttered under his breath, frustrated at his early errors. But what makes great champions isn't how they start, it's how they respond. Slowly, the Polish-Norwegian pair began to find rhythm. Swiatek's forehand, so devastating in singles, began to pierce through the middle of the court. Ruud, steady and calm, tightened his serve, hitting his spots with precision. And then came the rally that changed everything. At 3-2 down, Swiatek and Ruud were facing another breakpoint. The rally stretched beyond 25 shots, with Erani slicing, Vavasorri poaching, Ruud defending, and Swiatek covering every blade of the court. When Swiatek finally crushed a forehand winner down the line, the stadium erupted. It wasn't just a point. It was a statement. They weren't going anywhere. From that moment, the match turned into a battle of wills. Every game felt like a marathon. The Italians used their experience to draw Swiatek into the net, where she isn't always comfortable, but she responded with fearless reflex volleys. Ruud, usually a baseline grinder, found himself diving for volleys, stretching for lobs, and even smiling as the crowd roared at the spectacle. As the set moved towards its climax, the tension was unbearable. At 5-5, Ruud faced 2 breakpoints on his serve. Twice he saved them with aces, pumping his fist quietly, his eyes burning with determination. At 6-5, Swiatek stepped up to serve, and the Italians went all in on the attack. But with nerves of steel, she closed out the game with a forehand winner that landed just inside the baseline. The first set belonged to Swiatek and Ruud, 7-5, and they embraced at the net with a look that said, "We can do this." But Sarra Erani and Andrea Vavasorri were not done. The second set showed their resilience. Vavasorri, tall and sharp at the net, began reading Ruud's serves like an open book. Erani, with her never-say-die spirit, retrieved balls that seemed impossible to touch. The Italians broke early again, and this time they held on. Swiatek, despite her fire, grew a little restless. She missed a couple of routine returns, and Ruud's shoulders slumped slightly as the set slipped away 6-3. The match was now tied, and the fans knew they were being treated to something unforgettable. And so it all came down to the deciding set, a super tiebreak to 10 points. In tennis, those moments are cruel and magical at the same time. Every point feels like a dagger, every miss like a heartbreak. The 4 players walked back to the baseline, their faces intense, knowing it was all on the line. The Italians surged ahead first, Erani's quick hands and Vavasorri's booming serves putting them up 5-2. The crowd gasped. Were the favorites about to collapse? But champions don't fade quietly. Swiatek took charge, stepping inside the baseline, ripping returns past Vavasorri, and screaming in Polish as the crowd clapped along. Ruud, usually so calm, let out a roar after winning a reflex volley at 6-6, and suddenly, momentum shifted. From 2-5 down, Swiatek and Ruud won 4 points in a row. They were now 7-5 ahead, the finish line in sight. But the Italians refused to bow. Erani floated a perfect lob over Ruud's head at 7-7, bringing the stadium to its feet. The tiebreak reached 8-8, then 9-9, each point a coin toss, each rally a test of nerves. And then came the final 2 points that will live in US Open folklore. At 9-9, Swiatek returned a Vavasorri serve with such pace that even the net player couldn't react. It was a clean winner. Match point. The stadium shook with noise. On the very next rally, Ruud and Swiatek both scrambled at the baseline, defending desperately as Erani and Vavasorri pressed forward. But when Ruud lifted a defensive lob, the Italians misjudged it. It landed on the baseline. Game, set, match. Swiatek dropped her racket, Ruud lifted his arms, and the crowd exploded in joy. The embrace at the net was pure respect. Erani and Vavasorri had given everything, showing why Italy is becoming a doubles powerhouse. But for Swiatek and Ruud, it was a night of proving themselves in a new arena. They weren't just single stars anymore. They had shown grit, chemistry, and the heart of true champions. As they waved to the New York crowd, the message was clear. This wasn't just another mixed doubles match. It was proof that tennis is at its most beautiful when played with emotion, courage, and connection. And for everyone watching, it was a reminder that at the US Open, anything can happen, and when it does, it's unforgettable.